Good morning, everybody. Ouronnj here with another War of the Visions video, and today we are doing episode number 2 of Let's Suggest Supports, and we are going to talk about Ayaka today, the longtime queen of global supports. We're going to see if she still holds her role as queen of global supports, or if maybe she's fallen off in favor of some of the more aggressive supports, like the calculator units or something like that. And we're going to get right into it. The very first thing we're going to do, we already have Ayaka's base stats on the screen. We're going to put LLeela's base stats on the screen and look at them side by side. We're going to do the same thing we used to do with tanks, where we're going to apply their support abilities, or at least the potential their support abilities can give to their stats. And then we're going to try and see if there's any like winners or losers, or if one of them is clearly better than the other, just statistically, right? Obviously, there's so much more than just statistics when you're talking about supports. I would say their skill set matters more, but stats do matter. And a lot of times with a UR unit, they might have the same ability set as an MR unit, or a similar ability set as an MR unit, but the statistics is where you see the big jump. So let's look at some UR statistics. All right, applying the passives and the new totals if they use those passives, and here's what you see. You see Ayaka with a little bit more HP than LLeela, but she's not buffing it. And in fact, you'll notice that with support characters, they're not buffing their stats the same kind of way that DPS characters are, that tank characters are. And that's clearly kind of a design choice by Gumi, where they say we're going to give the support units other support abilities, like null CT charge, where they won't target themselves with time magic, or casting speed enhance. And those are really good support skills, but they don't boost their stats. So like Ayaka, when you look at that left-hand column on Ayaka's stats, she actually doesn't have a support ability that boosts her main stats. Like, she just doesn't. She has one that gives 12 magic resist, which can take that number to 22, and that's nice. But her stats just kind of are what you see. LLeela, on the other hand, can boost her agility and her move and jump. So kind of go line by line here. Ayaka has more health. Neither of them have any base defense or spirit. LLeela has a slight edge in magic, 352 to 319. Not huge, but it's enough to point out. Agility. Okay, here's where LLeela starts taking a little bit of a lead. LLeela has 72 agility, which is super fast, compared to Ayaka, who just has 64, which is still pretty quick. Like, Ayaka, not slow, but LLeela is fast, if that makes sense. Alright, move. If LLeela runs her ninja move sub-ability, she gets +1 move and +1 jump, putting her at 4-2. Now, that puts her in that, like, very good at moving range, right? She's up there with like your ninjas, because she has ninja sub, so it just makes sense. That's what she'd be with. But Ayaka is stuck at 3-1. When we were talking about supports, is this good or is this bad? Like, do you want your support unit to not be able to move very far, or do you want them to be able to move very far? With LLeela, you get the flexibility of choosing. You can give her this passive or this support ability and let her move around all over the place, but sometimes she might overextend. Not often. Her AI is pretty decent, but there's the potential that she'll get a little too far forward and maybe get one shot by some AoE or something. With Ayaka, you don't really have to worry about that. She's going to stay towards the back, and even if she does move, she can only move 3 spaces. So there you see the stats. Maybe a slight edge to LLeela statistically, but this doesn't tell too much of the story. We're going to have to get into team building and get into some fights to see Ayaka really shine, right? Because she's not shining on the stat page. So let's go ahead, let's jump into that, and let's discuss Ayaka through fighting, and let's discuss Ayaka through team building to really get that good picture. Okay, so when you're talking about Ayaka and what team she wants to be with, like who are her best friends in a team comp kind of thing, the immediate response a lot of people give that is correct is a tank. So in this little team comp you see on the board, we've put one of the best physical tanks in the game, maybe the best physical tank in the game, Engelbert, with Ayaka. he doesn't even have a weapon in this group, because one of Engelbert's biggest weaknesses is his speed. So instead of giving him a weapon, we've decided to really enhance his defense and give him bells to give him more agility. He's also running Fenrir for more agility, and Ayaka will be able to help him out with haste, and we've chosen to put Skull in the group here as well to help him out with quicken. This is going to seem almost kind of trolly at first, like what am I thinking? But this is a super high defense Engelbert who's going to be really hard to kill, and the hope of this team is allow him to move several times before the rest of the group catches up, just soak up the enemy's AP abilities, then Ayaka gets there, heals him up, Skull comes in from behind, kills everybody, and that's a win, right? So the thought here, Ayaka, super good at healing, super good at support with her time magic. Let's try and keep Engelbert alive. Real quick before we get into the fight, we'll look at her abilities. We're running Speed Cast and Null CT changes, so she doesn't target herself with haste. You have to be a little careful with Ayaka. If she doesn't have this, I've seen a lot of Ayakas just stand all the way back the whole fight and just buff themselves. And the whole fight's going on in front of them, and they're at the back of the map buffing. Running Null CT changes while running Time Mage will prevent her from doing that and allow her to keep pace a little bit better while still staying safe. What abilities are we running? We're going to leave Cure on. We're turning Regen off, because we don't want her standing next to people. That's why. We want her to stay back a little bit. We're going to leave Holy on, because towards the end of a fight, if it's really dragging out, which tank plus Ayaka matches tend to do, she'll be able to do some damage with Holy. She can turn into a quasi-carry in a magic kind of team comp. Then we'll leave Curaga on honest, obviously, and Full Life is one of her best abilities, and this is what sets her into that maybe highest tier of healing support unit. Full Life is an amazing skill. For Time Mage, pretty simple. We're going to have Haste on, we're going to have Comet on for some damage if she gets a chance, and we're going to have Meteor on for some damage if she gets a chance. Okay, enough talking about her. Let's get into some actual fights. Okay, our first fight of the day is going to look like this. We have an Agrius, Dwayne, LLeela. Really common team you're going to see in Arena right now. 3 really big time meta units, and we get the Ayaka versus Leela kind of head-to-head matchup here. So let's jump into the fight and see how this is going to go. If it goes the way we want it to, Engelbert is going to use the buffs from Ayaka and Skull to get ahead of everybody else. When he does that, he'll Taunting Blade, he'll get the aggro, and he'll kind of sit there and soak everything, while Skull sets himself up to kill everybody, letting the enemy team drain their AP, etc., and Ayaka will just keep him alive throughout the fight. That's the idea of the team comp. But ideas sometimes work, sometimes they don't. So let's see. Leela is casting Protect, so you see there's kind of one of her supportive abilities. Skull using Quicken, where we have a lot of time magic in this group, right? Ayaka plus Skull is time magic city, sort of. Excuse me. Ayaka right now is going to cast a haste on Engelbert. So this is how we help Engelbert overcome his like turtle mode. So many Engelberts get stuck in the back. They can't separate from the enemy team, or they can't separate from their team. The enemy team hits them with all the everythings, and it's just really awful. Well, if you can cast haste, if you can cast Quicken on Engelbert, he overcomes that, and he's able to get forward, get some Taunting Blades off, etc. So there's the second Quicken onto Engelbert. He's going to Taunting Blade the enemy group and run forward. Perfect. Ayaka is going to keep spreading that haste around. Skull now has haste. This will help him get into range to actually do some damage, because what Engelbert doesn't bring is damage. Now, enemy Agriuses against me, I say this a lot, tend to bat 1,000 on landing status effects. So you're kind of seeing that right here. Agrius has completely shut Engelbert down through Confuse, through whatever. But here we go. Another great thing about Ayaka is she has this LB that's an instant heal and removes stop. This is really good against Agrius. It's not like overpowered good, as Agrius lands another status effect on my on my tank. But that's okay, I expect it. I literally just expect Agrius to land every status effect, and Skull is coming in now and doing his job. Now, LLeela also has access to full life, so she's probably going to work her way forward here and attempt to get her own full life off. Meanwhile, things tend to be going well in the front. Engelbert has a lot of HP left. He has taken every attack from the enemy team so far, and Agrius is still landing every single status effect because it's Agrius and that's what she does. Leela moves forward. Wasn't in range to do anything yet, so we're gonna reset a little bit here. We're gonna start casting haste again. Skull gets in range to cast a Thondaga at LLeela. Nice damage. Let's see if this triggers her heals. Nope, she's going to go and start doing damage to everybody now. Fine. Engelbert sentinels on himself, so he's even more unkillable. Here's a big difference. What you're seeing right here is a big difference between Leela's AI and Ayaka's AI. In that same situation, Leela would have chose to walk up and do damage. Ayaka chose to walk up and heal everybody. She could have used Holy there, or Meteor, or Comet, or something, but Ayaka is a true support unit, whereas these calculator units like LLeela, if they can AoE 3 people and that's going to be the thing that they choose to do to win the fight more, they'll do it. Ayaka could have finished the fight with a Holy, instead walked up and healed everybody. That's good in a Guild Wars scenario if you want to go to your second fight healthier. It can backfire though if Leela would have got another turn out of that and maybe killed somebody. So good, that was a really good fight. The team worked well and Ayaka did good things. Let's switch the comp up and go to another fight. Okay, the second Ayaka group I've put together, I have a name for this. I call this the pick 2 of your best units, put them together, and put Ayaka in that group strategy. So I've picked 2 of like the more newer meta units here. I got Dwayne, I got Kane, and the idea behind this is I want Dwayne and Kane to go kill everybody, and I want Ayaka to just help them do it. Now, there's a ton of party ability buffs in this group because you have Dwayne running his vision card, you have Kane running Demon Wall, and in this time I'm having Ayaka run some missile attack resist because missile units are really coming strong into the game right now. So if we look at these buffs, this group has missile attack resist, magic attack resist, and slash attack resist, and then they get attack and pierce damage up for the more DPS things. So will this work? Like, I can tell you that this does kind of work, but will it work for us today? Let's go find out. Okay, the first team on our arena list is the classic Men in Black lineup. We got Runestern, we got Dwayne, and we got Kane. So we're just gonna throw ourselves at the, this is probably one of the most meta squads you see in Arena right now. I feel like anybody who has these 3 units at level 99 is like, oh, I'm going to use them because I got 2 double cost units and a limited unit. It's not always the best. Like, this group's strong. I'm not going to say it's not, but, oh no, I'm talking a lot of trash on it. Watch me walk out and lose to it. All right, here we go. Dwayne going to cast Bells on himself. Ayaka's charging Haste. There's Courage from Arcane, good, and everybody's just kind of buffing up. We have the slash buff turned off of Dwayne here because I want him to get forward. I don't want him standing next to Ayaka. Like, that's Ayaka asking to die. I also brought zombie TMR for Ayaka in this one, just in case she does catch some of the insane amounts of damage on this team. She'll live through it once at least and maybe have a chance to heal herself. Okay? Inherited Tyranny from Arcane. Magic Infuse. Okay, our Dwayne's really low, but we have Ayaka, and Ayaka's going to do Ayaka things. So we've eaten their first couple attacks already. They weren't able to kill us, and now it's almost like those attacks didn't happen, and we're striking back. We land a nice disable from our Dwayne there. Enemy Kane is low, and there's the Courage proc. Awesome. Looks like Ayaka might be setting up another heal here. She might not get it off. Ooh, man. Ruinstern, we've used up Dwayne's hate, and Ruinstern actually gets a massive amount of damage onto 2 of us. Dwayne backs off, gets our first kill of the match. Ayaka looking for a heal. She's not going to get it off. Really unfortunate timing situation here where we couldn't find a way to get heals off. Like, the team was doing kind of what it was supposed to do, but Ayaka just wasn't quick enough with those heals, couldn't pull the trigger quick enough, and twice her heal got interrupted by her dying. That is the drawback of Ayaka compared to LLeela. LLeela's just like instant heal, whatever, all day. Really, really strong. Ayaka has to charge that heal. Even running reduced casting speed, that really hurt us twice. So, I still think our comp is good. Let's find a third fight and see if we can win. This time, the team at the top of our little arena pick list is a Warrior of Light, Lucia, Kayn. Tank, and then mixed damage, right? You got some missile damage, you have some pierce damage. Let's see how we hang against this. Alright, enemy Lucia, fastest one in the game, buffs some missile attack for her and Warrior of Light. Warrior of Light kind of like, thanks for the missile attack, I guess. Anyway, Dwayne buffing bells on himself, Ayaka charging a haste, and there's courage on Kayn. So, one thing I want to say about like this kind of team comp like we're running here, where you just pick two really strong units and Ayaka, is it's pretty much good across the board. Like, this would be a good Guild Wars defense because it's kind of strong against everything. It doesn't necessarily hard counter any one thing, which is what you want to do with your offensive picks, but as a defensive squad, I don't think anything's going to run out here and just have an easy time with it. Okay, anyway, enemy Warrior of Light shifts attack in, actually shift attack into damage range of Ayaka. I believe she's charging a... Oh, nope. She's going to haste Kayn. Perfect. We'll let Kayn do the damage, Ayaka. I like your thinking there. All right. Dwayne low. Kayn gets a piercing lance off. Kills the enemy tank. Good start for us. Our tank goes down as well. But we have Ayaka. She has one of the best spells in the whole game, full life. And we have Dwayne all the way back. Something that didn't happen last fight, but did happen this fight, is you want the enemy team killing somebody first, while Ayaka still has time to go full life them. It's a huge advantage. Now, there's our courage proc, and there's Kayn going down. So, that's not ideal, right? Like, Kayn got burst before Ayaka could get any heals off, but that's going to happen sometimes. We still have Dwayne, we still have haste on him, and we still have Ayaka. Here comes her limit break. So this Dwayne is basically going to have all the support in the world to go 1v1 this Lucia. I don't know that he's even going to need it. Like, there was most of her health and damage, but there's reflex proccing, there's stuff like that. So Ayaka's actually pulled aggro at this point, doesn't matter. Dwayne finishes off Lucia, and there you go. We walked out there, not the cleanest of wins, but we weren't built to necessarily fight that team. We had no pierce resist. We just built a nice generic comp, and we went and took on another generic comp and beat it. So, good showing from Ayaka in that fight. Better than the last. Great. Let's wrap it up by giving Ayaka a grade, a score, whatever you want to call it, and why I feel that way. So, I'm going to give her a 90 out of 100. I'm going to say Ayaka in this game is my benchmark for what an A healer is, right? Like, if this was a test and you get a 90 out of 100, you walk away saying, got the A. It's an A minus, but it's an A, and you're feeling pretty good about that. I like Ayaka a ton, and I think she's super good at what she does. I don't give a whole lot of A's on these, and she hits the mark. So why do I feel like that? Well, her healing, I'm going to give a 97 on healing for Ayaka. It would have been more if little LLeela and the calculator heals weren't instant casts, right? Like, Ayaka has to charge her heals, except for her limit break, which she might have been like a 95 if her limit break wasn't so awesome. But you got to see in the second fight that having a charge time on your heals just further delays the amount of time between, when you start casting it and when your units get the heal. And sometimes that's the difference. even with enhanced casting speed equipped, ouch. Now, yeah, you could lower casting speed more with some vision cards or something like that, but then you're losing other buffs. And if you have to support your support's ability to support, choose the support. Yeah, I don't know. That made sense to me. I don't know if it made sense to the video. Anyhow, 97 on healing. She is a phenomenal healer. All right, buffs. This is where her buffing ability is like her most telling thing to me. In my opinion, she has the baseline of what is acceptable buffs from 3 buff classes. I'll start with Green Mage because like it's the one people use the least. She has like the agility buff and like the Green Mage stuff that Green Mages can do. Nobody really uses them because there's typically other better things, but she can do those. She doesn't have like a super special Green Mage buff she can do. White Mage, like Adelard, she has Protect. She has Shell. Basic. She doesn't have a special White Mage buff that like makes her a better White Mage than anybody else. Let's go with Time Mage. She has Haste. She doesn't have Quicken. Quicken's like that next level Time Mage buff. Quicken is what the like super good Time Mages like Skull have. Ayaka has Haste. It's good, but again, it's like what you expect from a Time Mage. Her buffs, she just doesn't have that like, ooh, the Ayaka signature buff. Her signature is her limit break heal. Now, unfortunately, Gumi released a character called Halloween Little Leela who can just do that over and over again. And ouch, like, what were you thinking, guys? Anyhow, Ayaka has exactly the buffs to be a good buffer, but not the next level buff to be better than a 90. If you want White Mage buffs, you can run Ayaka. If you want Green Mage buffs, you can run Ayaka. And if you want Time Mage buffs, you can run Ayaka. You just don't get super great, like S level buffs. Anyway, 90 out of 100 there, super good. Damage, her damage is decent, right? Like, don't underestimate Holy. Don't underestimate Meteor. Back when I used to play Eileen in Arena all the time, I remember once it was like Eileen was alive and Ayaka was alive, and I was like, oh, you're dead. And Ayaka was like, Meteor, and one-shot her. I was like, oh, that's a thing. So she can do damage, but don't expect tons of damage, especially if she's not in a magic party built to put out damage. So 75 there. Respectable, but not great. Movement, she has that base 3-1. Normally, I give people 65s for that, especially tanks. I'm going to throw a 65 at them, hit them with those ugly red numbers. But with Ayaka, her slowness can be a slight advantage. When she is moving forward, you don't want her moving way forward and getting hit by a bunch of AoE. So sometimes being able to stay back or being forced to stay back a little bit is a benefit to her. 70 out of 100 there. Speed, she's quick. She's not super fast like Leela or something like that, but she is quick. She'll often go early in fights, which is great because you want her giving haste to people. And if you wanted to make her quicker, you can take null CT off of her, replace it with something else, and she'll haste herself. I don't recommend that because her AI tends to go haywire at that point, but she is fast and has access to more speed. Survivability, I'm going to give her an 80 here. She is a squishy character, but because you don't rely on her for anything but healing and support, there are very viable tank Ayaka builds where you just build her to take damage and heal herself. And I don't want to bump her score up too high because she has access to builds that make her tanky, but healers who you're not relying on for anything else, yeah, I mean, just it's fine to forego their DPS for survivability. And that's one thing you can do with Ayaka, and so I'll give her an 80 there, like a good score for survivability. And then if she does survive, she can heal herself, which helps too. All right, so overall, 90 out of 100. In my book, Ayaka is the point where an A-level grade begins. If you want to be an A or an A+, you got to say, I'm as good or better than Ayaka as a healer in this game. So that's my thoughts. Yeah, tell me if you agree, tell me if you disagree, tell me if you just hate playing against Ayaka. Personally, I hate playing against LLeela, if you hadn't figured that out yet. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you enjoyed this video, this is episode 2 in the support series. The tank series is season 1 is also complete. Check that out. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your Sunday. I will see you in the next video.